Upon a tranquil hill, Will is driving with his girlfriend, Kira. They are visiting Will's ex-wife, Eden, for a dinner party. The couple has not met with Eden for 2 years since she disappeared. Out of nowhere, she invites all her old friends over for dinner with her new husband, David. The newlywed met in a grief counseling group before Eden divorced Will. Everyone assumes that David is the reason for her divorce. In the midst of his musing, Will hits a coyote. It is severely injured. He decides to end its misery by whacking it with a tire iron. Will and Kira arrive at the home he used to live in with Eden and their passed-away son. Upon entering, he remembers the image of his son drawing in the living room. Sorrow is visible in his eyes. They are soon warmly greeted by old friends. Eden comes down the stairs, followed by David. They greet the couple joyfully. David offers expensive wine and starts the dinner party. Will notices a half-naked woman eyeing him from the room at the end of the corridor. While they toast, she emerges and Eden introduces her as Sadie, a friend she met in Mexico. Amid conversation, Kira mentions the incident of running a coyote on their way here. When David hears how Will killed it, he agrees that it is a merciful death to escape from suffering. Will excuses himself to the kitchen to get a glass of water. He is reminded by the image of stopping pain-stricken Eden. In this same sink, she tried to take her life with a knife. Will and Eden's marriage ended after their son's tragic death, and Eden attempted suicide. It contradicts everyone's belief that Eden cheated. Soon, Eden joins him in the kitchen. Will notices the barred windows and asks Eden if anything happens. She explains mysteriously that it is for security purposes. She brings up her time in Mexico, and how it makes her different and free from pain now. Later, one of the friends, Ben, joins them and listens in on their conversation. She is saying that pain is optional, emotions are just chemical reactions that can willingly get expelled from the body. Ben disagrees and calls it crazy. She slaps him right on the face for that and walks out of the kitchen. Will and Ben are shocked but get over it pretty quickly when Eden apologizes. She offers him a drink when they re-emerge in the living room. Claire, a beautiful woman in the group, approaches Will to catch things up. They are interrupted by a doorbell. Behind the door, a stranger named Pruitt appears. He seems to be in close relation with Sadie, Eden, and David. Upon greeting, Gina complains about her boyfriend, Choi, being late. She cannot even contact him because there is no service in the hills. David locks them all inside after letting Pruitt in. Will stares at that, and questions David about keeping the main door locked. David explains that there was a home invasion in the canyon lately. Will acts distrustful towards this explanation. He suggests David leaves the key in the door in case they need to get out in an emergency. The situation becomes awkward, and Eden asks David to help get some firewood. Will walks to the backyard to get the wood. From outside, Will sees Eden enter her bedroom and shove something into a nightstand. Will, who's been distrustful the whole night, returns inside with the firewood and sneaks into Eden's room. He discovers a bottle of unknown pills and takes a few out. Will re-emerges to the living room where everyone is talking about a cult called the Invitation. The cult is the reason Eden, David, Sadie, and Pruitt were in Mexico. As the others inquire more about the Invitation, David shows them a recruitment video. The leader of the cult states that the human brain has the ability to heal. He has made it his life work to rewire and rewrite traumatic experiences. Then, it shows a woman lying on the bed. She is surrounded by the leader and other cultists as they watch her commit suicide. Eden tells them the woman was diagnosed with cancer. She let her death be filmed to show others that suicide is nothing to be afraid of. She's happy now, freed from the grief of being sick. David says that the cult comes together to help each other, forgetting grief. The non-members seem overwhelmed by the explanation. Especially Will, who remembers his son's tragic death. And the fact that Eden is forgetting their son, agitates him. Later, Will shows the pills he took from Eden's bedroom to Miguel, who is a doctor. It is a narcotic called barbiturate that becomes harmful when consumed too much. Will expresses his suspicions to Miguel, and his boyfriend, Tommy, who joins them. But, they shrug it off. They think the dinner is just a friendly, harmless reunion. To apologize for spoiling the atmosphere earlier, David suggests playing a game called I Want. During the game, everyone must reveal what they want honestly. Starting from Sadie, she says she wants to tell everyone that she loves them. Gina says that she wants some cocaine David used to do. Things become tense when Pruitt reveals that his wife died when he got in a fight with her. He assaulted her in the fight, causing her to hit her head and died. Pruitt served 7 years in jail but became a better person after joining the invitation. In the cult, he learns that emotions are useless, because when he chooses to forgive himself, he can. Claire begins to feel uncomfortable, feeling like they're being brainwashed with all the talk of the invitation. Eden interrupts to tell them she wants to kiss Ben. Then, Tommy says he wants someone to blow him. Claire can't bear it and wants to leave. David and Eden try to convince her to stay. Yet, Will asserts that they should let her leave if she wants to. Claire is leaving when Pruitt tells her he parked behind her car and will have to move his car. The two of them walk out. Will eyes suspiciously from the window. Sure enough, Pruitt moves his car to let Claire out. But, he stops Claire as she is about to drive away. Will's sight is blocked by walls and he can't see Claire. David interrupts to convince Will to talk. He asks why Will is suspicious of the whole situation. He has been acting distrustful when he questions about keeping the main door locked and keeps an eye on Pruitt. Will apologizes, claiming he isn't prepared to be at the home he used to live in with Eden and their son. This time, Pruitt comes back in and explains he stopped the car to apologize. The group advances to the dinner table. While having dinner, Will goes into a trance. The same ambience of the group reminds him of his son's birthday party. The image of a young boy playing happily imprints. Will remembers the feeling of his heart tightening at the shouts of children. His son is accidentally killed while playing. All this time, he has been blaming himself for not giving enough attention that day. He can't manage the overflowing grief and guilt creeping out. Out of the trance, he freaks out and startles everyone else. Will then tries to clear his head in the backyard. When he returns to the house, he sees Sadie looking in the mirror. She is making grotesque facial expressions, then she notices him. He turns and goes outside again. Sadie joins him and abruptly tries to seduce him. Will rejects her and tells her to go back inside. After the occurrence, Tommy greets Will in the backyard. Will voices his suspicions again about the dinner party. But Tommy tells him that his weird behavior is freaking people out. Will starts to be convinced and tries to calm down. But after Tommy goes back inside, his phone chirps due to being able to get a signal briefly. Choi sends him a voicemail stating he has arrived at the party early. However, he forgot the dessert Gina asked for. He asks Will to pick it up instead on the way so he doesn't have to drive back. This drives up his suspicion more. Will joins everyone else at the dinner table. Eden brings out a cake to celebrate Miguel's birthday. Upon celebrating, Will tells the group about the voicemail he received when Choi was right outside. Eden and David state firmly that Choi never got there. Everyone tries to assuage Will. But he continues demanding to know where Choi is. He asks the reason they were invited to a dinner after a 2-year absence. Moreover, 2 strangers from the cult are present. He chastises the invitation and says it's a brainwashing tactic. The cult only teaches them to deny everything by erasing their grief. Kira tries to convince Will to leave with her, but then the doorbell rings. It is Choi who says he had to turn around after arriving early because he got a work call. Everyone looks in Will's direction. He breaks into tears, apologizing for causing dread. Will goes to the bathroom to wash his face and clears his head outside. Kira approaches him, convincing him that everything will be fine. Will is sure he's not fine because he is still dealing with the pain of his son's death. Kira tries to tell him that they can help each other, but Will doesn't think she can help in this case. Kira feels tactless and leaves him alone. When Will goes inside, he asks Eden's permission to see their son's bedroom. Will walks around reminiscing about his son. Through the window, Will sees David hanging an illuminating red lantern on the edge of the backyard. He opens the laptop and watches the unplayed part of the video, claiming there is a plan being carried out tonight. He is interrupted by Pruitt's sudden knocks on the door, claiming everyone is waiting for him. Will, already suspicious, now has his caution on high alert. Will is led upstairs where everyone is poured another glass of wine. The members of the invitation seem elated at this. David suggests they should all take a moment to look at each other and then raise their glass in a toast. Gina drinks her glass right away. Suddenly, Will slaps the glasses out of everyone's hands, while shouting at them to not drink. Sadie flips out, shouting that Will is ruining everything. She attacks him and he pushes her away, knocking her into a dresser. Everyone surrounds her, worried that she has been killed when hitting her head. They gather around, and Miguel tries to check on Sadie. Kira says she's not breathing. But it's not Sadie she is meaning, it's Gina, whose mouth is foaming. Miguel tries to revive Gina by doing CPR. But suddenly, a gunshot is heard and Miguel collapses. David kills Miguel right on the spot. Pruitt takes the gun from David and shoots Choi dead. Will, Kira, and Ben back away, trying to grab Tommy with them. Nonetheless, Tommy is too angry about the death of his boyfriend. He charges at Eden, who slashes him with a knife. While escaping, Will and Kira separate from Ben and are charged by Sadie. Will shoves her away and locks themselves up in a room nearby. Through the barred window, they can see David stabbing Ben. Pruitt soon joins and shoots Ben dead. Will tries to calm Kira down. He prompts her to do whatever it takes to survive. They step out of the room and hear David trying to calm Eden down. She is horrified about all the murders taking place instead of leaving the world peacefully by poisoning. David convinces her that they were chosen. This is how they can leave the world behind along with all the grief and guilt they feel. When they are gone, Will and Kira edge upstairs to an exit that leads to the garage. On their way, they see Sadie dying on the couch. She has impaled herself with a fireplace poker. As she slowly dies, unable to make noise, he takes the fireplace poker from her lap. Upstairs, Will and Kira find that the door to the garage has been removed. Pruitt soon catches up to them with a gun. They hide from his view. Will abruptly emerges, knocking the gun out of his hand. They scuffle. Pruitt shoves Kira hard to the ground. Then, he strangles Will. Kira gets up and hits him with a fireplace poker repeatedly until Pruitt stops breathing. They run into Eden in the hall. She points the gun at Will and shoots him in the shoulder. Eden soon feels remorseful and shoots herself in the stomach. In a state of taken aback, Kira manages to get the gun. David appears with a butcher knife, calling for Eden. Will tells him that Eden shot herself. He is glad to hear that because she's with them now. Will warns him not to approach because they have a gun despite realizing it is empty. David is not worried at all because it's time for him to die. Suddenly, Tommy, who's been hiding to find the right time, charges at David. They roll down the stairs and wrestle with each other. Tommy successfully pins him to the ground and stabs him in the stomach. Surprisingly, Eden, who has not yet died, calls out for Will. Crying with remorse, she tells Will that she also misses their son. She wants to be taken outside to wait for death. Will, Kira, and Tommy watch as Eden takes her last breaths in the backyard. Tommy goes back inside the house to retrieve Miguel's corpse. The sounds of sirens are heard in the distance, as well as faint screamings, gunshots, and helicopters churning overhead. Will and Kira walk to the side of the hill and realize that the side of the area is full of red lanterns. The other cultists of the cult The Invitation live in the area and are also carrying out the same murder-suicide scheme. What do you think of this movie? Write your comment down below. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.